overall by Mel Kiper Jr. And it's been quite the rise, as I'm saying, for Walker. So he was projected as the 27th overall pick in Todd McShay's first mock, which was released back in December. But Walker moved up to 16th in Todd's second mock after his impressive showing at the Combine. And then now he's jumped all the way up to 5th. As it stands now, McShay has Walker going 2nd overall to the Lions. So Todd, as we bring you in here, why the big jump in the draft board there for Travon Walker since the season ended, and even more time has passed for these teams to figure out which direction they want to go?
First of all, he played his best ball in the playoffs, and he was dominant really in those final 2 games. And then you transition over to the pre-draft process. The Combine was ridiculous. Let's just lay it all out here. Travon Walker, if you draft him number 1, if you're Jacksonville, or number 2 at Detroit, you're betting on the traits. And you're betting on what you see on tape and then what can be if you utilize him a little bit differently. 6'5", 272 pounds, left tackle length arm, 35.5-inch arms. Ran a 4.51, which is stupid for a defensive end. Running backs would be thrilled with that time for the vast majority of them. And you see on tape, he's so explosive as a player. But he was asked, you know the old term, like fishing with dynamite? He was asked to be the dynamite an awful lot and then let everybody else go in and make the sack or get after the quarterback. He was charged with just bulldozing up versus the offensive lineman and letting other guys do it. Now, he's got to work on his hand usage as a pass rusher. He's got to be a better finisher. But this guy has elite traits that you just can't find with any other player in this draft.
Ready, let me jump in here real quick. First of all, I do not know the saying, but I'm stealing it, Todd. Second of all,
you're not dynamite, though. That's not really.
Do you recall a non-quarterback that had this kind of rise post games, into the spring and the Combine workouts that has had this kind of rise that worked out in the NFL?
Say it, Todd.
This kind of rise is rare. I mean, there have been some wide receivers running in the 4.2s, 4.3s that have worked their way into the first round and have been mistake picks. I would go back, honestly, to answer your question, maybe 2013, Eric Fisher, just the way he worked out at the Senior Bowl and the offensive tackle position. But honestly, it is very rare for a non-quarterback to move up this much during the pre-draft process.
Just to set the table here a little more for you, Marcus, at first when you saw Travon Walker being projected top 3 overall, you're like, man, that is too high. But then you watched a little bit more film than you had already watched. Do you still think that top 3 overall is too high for this player?
Not in this draft. Not in this draft. And it has a lot to do with what Todd said. Yeah, there's some raw ability there, but you know who else was raw? I played with a guy by the name of DeMarcus Ware who was raw, but he had long arms, he was fast off the ball, and he was a guy that just flashed every time you turn the game on. And we had this conversation on this show talking about Travon Walker. How is this rise ascending? And then, too, another point I want to make and reiterate something off Todd. He is not a guy that you have to draft for a particular scheme. And I don't know if people really understand the value that teams put on that from a defensive standpoint. But when you have a guy that you can plug and play in 3 or 4 different positions, that increases your value as well.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.